Hey everyone, nice to have all of you join us today. My name is Brandon Henry. I'm your Enterprise Customer Success Manager here with Cloud Academy. Today we're going to be going over the enterprise demo, just how to use Cloud Academy as a administrator. Here's our agenda for today. We're going to talk about user management, inviting your members to the platform, assigning them a role, what those roles are, team management, how to set up your teams in the platform to reflect your organizational structure, the initial assessment, what that looks like, why this assessment is being assigned to the team. We're going to talk more about training plans, why training plans are important and how they really help with utilization and adoption. Analytics and reports. So once your team it has a training plan assigned to them, they're going to complete a bunch of learning activities. Some of this intelligence is going to be fed to you, the admin. We're going to collect all of that in analytics, reports, and skill profiles where you'll be able to measure your team's skill growth rate. So we'll talk about that. Some settings and integrations, as well as Q&A. So Q&A is at the bottom, but feel free to ask me questions as we go through. You can just put them in the go-to section, the question section of the go-to webinar panel. I'll do my best to answer them. Also, a couple more notes. If you'd like a copy of this deck, feel free to reach out to me after the webinar. I'll be more than happy to send it over to you as well as answer some more questions you may have. And a copy of this recording should automatically be sent out to all of our registrants. All right, so without further ado, let's get into the demo. So first, let's talk about user management. So now you as the admin, you have access to the organization page. And now this is going to allow you to invite your members, change their role, change their permissions, and then create teams. So there's a few roles that we have set up here with Cloud Academy. We have an admin student. Now this is an admin that wants content access, plans on using the content in the training library. We have an admin operator. So this is a free license for an admin without content access, and they just need to be able to monitor the analytics, assign users, and assign training plans. We also have an operator role. Now this is meant for more of a team manager. So you could put some onus on your team managers to assign their own training plans, manage their team, their analytics, and that's without content access. And that's, again, another free license. And then we have a student license. So this is an end user that has access to all of the content in our training library. So we're going to talk a little bit about how to invite your members to the platform, how to create that team and what that team looks like. Right after we go over the team management. So teams are really important because you want to group your users together with similar backgrounds, but more importantly, they should have similar skill objectives. So the point of a team is if you have a group that's going to be onboarded together, they're going to complete their training plans together, you want them to appear in reports and analytics together, that's why you would group your users into a team. So a single user could be on multiple teams as a member or a team manager. And this team should reflect how your organization is set up, as well as serve as a classroom for your training plans. So I'm going to show you how we can create a new team, as well as sub-teams based on your learning objectives. We can add members to the team, assign a team manager. And also, if you're thinking about your projects, 3 months, 6 months, 12 months out, we're going to be able to sequence those training plans to align with some of those goals. So let's get into the platform here. So I have my demo platform open. The first page you're going to be on is that organization page where you as the administrator, you're going to invite your users by clicking on users. You click invite a member, and then you just start by just typing in their email address. Click on the email, and then type in the first name, last name, and decide if you want to give them content access or not. Again, without content access, this is going to be a free license. This person will be added to the account as an operator, and then we could go in and elevate the permissions to an admin. If you want to give someone content access later, we could always do that as well. So let's just go back to the organization page. So now here we have our different teams. So now these teams should reflect, again, your skill objectives or certain initiatives that you have. Maybe you're grouping your users together because they should all be focused on, similar content because of a project that's coming up. So we have the main group here, which would be Acme Corp. This would be your main company. All your users could be loaded into this one group, but then we could build this out into sub teams. So if you have a team that's focused on security, maybe you have a team of developers or data engineers. So you want to group those users together, and this way we can assign a respective training plan just to that group. Below, you can see that we have certification initiatives. So, if you're looking to get your group certified as AWS Solutions Architects, we could group those users together. As Azure Solution Architects, we could also group those users together. If you're simply looking to just upskill based on their job role, we could do that too. We could take that user from a beginner level all the way up to an advanced level user, whether that's in security, data, DevOps, solutions architect, anything. So you could really build this out to help reflect what your goals are. So we'll go up to the top here. We go to create a team. You start just going and adding your team name. So we'll just go with test team for now. You could choose the hierarchy. So if you want this to be under the Acme Corp, we could do that. Add a description. And then we add that onboarding assessment. So we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get to our assessment screen. But this is essentially just going to get a baseline understanding of where that team is currently at. So we could do the basic cloud knowledge evaluation, which tests for some dictionary terms in the cloud. And if your group is focused on AWS or GCP, Microsoft, then I would recommend sticking with the platform that you guys are used to and going with one of those preliminary evaluations. Now, we do have some labs here at the bottom. I would save this for some of your most advanced members, just because we're not going to give them any course content before assigning this. They're just jumping right into the lab environment. So you want to save this for someone that spent a lot of time in these environments. This way you're not overwhelming them as soon as they get into the platform. All right, cool. Then we'll go to assign. And we're just going to confirm that we want to assign this to our team. All right, and then this is also another way to add your members. So you could add your members here. Go ahead and add their first name, last name. Now you could choose the role. This person can be that team manager that's going to oversee the team, giving them the ability to assign training plans, view the analytics, skill profiles. There could be a stakeholder where they're just going to have read-only access to that team, or just a team member where they're going to have access to the entire training library, as well as the training plan that's assigned to them. So I'm just going to go forward with a team member. We're going to add to the team. And then your entire, the team settings are going to show up at that point. So you could add your training plan here. You could view that team's skill growth rate, and we'll talk a lot more about skill growth rate when we get to skill profiles. We have our onboarding section. So there's just 3 steps in onboarding. Once you invite your members, assign an assessment, and then assign a training plan, you can consider that team to be completely onboarded. And then we could look at training history. So any training plans that were assigned to that team in the past. Below, you could add a sub-team to this team. You could add your team managers, as well as some of your team members. We're gonna take a look at another team that's a little bit more built out, so you can see exactly what I'm talking about here. Great. So we have our team managers, we have our team members, and then we're going to go when we get to training plans. I'm going to show you how to exactly assign that training plan. All right. So let's talk a little bit more about assessments. Now, this is designed as a set of validated labs or multiple choice quizzes selected in accordance with your team's training objectives. So again, it's really just to evaluate your basic cloud knowledge of the team, attain a baseline understanding of what their team's skill level is currently at when they first got into the platform. And this way we could accurately measure their skill growth rate as time goes on. And then we're going to also be able to assess all of your teams by their skills, by platform, and by service. So we talked about how to assign that assessment when you first when you're first creating a team. Now your team's dashboard is going to be locked for 1 week until that assessment is complete. Just because we do prioritize that in the beginning, it's super important just to get an understanding of where our team is currently at. And then we'll know exactly which training plans to assign the team. After 1 week, your team could always will have access to their dashboard. If they did not take the assessment, they could always go back and complete the assessment at that point. So under training, let's just go ahead and click on assessments. So we can see all the assessments that we have assigned to our groups, the team that it's assigned to, the assessment title, the progress percentage. This is going to be the percentage of users that actually completed the assessment, and then the average exam scores. So if you want to take a look at this assessment, a lot of that same information is at the top, but we get a more itemized view here. So you could view which skill gaps are there. So we could view that by platform domain. We test for strengths as well, and even concepts like high availability and cost optimization. If you hover above skills map, you'll get a skill profile score for each platform and each service. If you click on assignees, you'll get an itemized breakdown of where everyone is at in their assessment cycle. So their progress percentage, what their assessment score is. You could even view their skills, which will take you to their skill profile, and you'll have access to their skill profile card. And we'll get a little bit more into what these numbers are when we get to skill profiles. And you could also see any users that were not assigned as well. If you did not assign your assessment while creating the team, you could always just go click on assessments. At the top right, click on new assessment cycle. And then you're going to start again with that basic cloud knowledge evaluation for those dictionary terms in the cloud. And if you're focused on just Microsoft or Azure, then you're going to choose, or GCP, you're just going to choose one of those preliminary evaluations. So we're going to go assign to our team. And then we'll just go ahead and we'll choose the team to assign it to. If you'd also like your team managers to be assigned this training, you could assign it there. Confirm and review, and then we're back into our team screen where the next step is to assign that training plan to the team. All right, cool. So let's talk about training plans. Now, this is going to allow for centralized control of the training experience for your enterprise team. So you could assign training plans to the entire team, but there are use cases to also support assigning to a single member. Maybe you have somebody that's way above the curve, and so you need to give them a more professional level training plan or advanced level training plan. Then we can do that for them as well. I'm going to show you how to create a custom training plan for your group, and as well as selecting a weekly commitment. But before we get into the training plans, what exactly is a training plan? So it's going to be one of the learning paths, which is a combination of courses, labs, and exams, all designed to upskill your team in one particular area. So we assign one learning path to our team in the form of a training plan. This really helps with utilization. Our research has found that you'll see teams utilization go up as much as 400% once a training plan is assigned to them. They're going to have a much higher skill growth rate, as well as being able to pass their certification exams on their first try, or having a much higher chance at passing on their first try. So let's go into the training plan. So we'll go ahead and click on training plans. We could start here, or we could just, like I said, do everything out of that team view. But let's just first start with the training plan screen. So you can see all the training plans that you have assigned right now, the team that's going to be assigned to, the progress percentage, as well as their the average exam scores on all the knowledge checks or exams that the team is going to be taking throughout their training plan, how well they're tracking, whether that's ahead, on track, or behind. Then you have the start date and then the due date. So we'll go into creating a new training plan, and then I'll show you one of these existing ones. So we also have this member review as well. Now, this is a very new feature with Cloud Academy, where you'll get an itemized view of each of your members, You could view all of their active training plans, scheduled training plans, and completed training plans. So we'll go to new training plan to assign a new training plan to our team. Now this is where you're going to assign to the team. If you wanted to assign to an individual member, then just go ahead and click on the members tab at the top and then select that member. For this example, we'll just stick to our team view. So let's go ahead and select Acme Partners. Let's go back. So let's break this down. So if we select Acme Partners, we'll actually be assigning the training plan to every team within Acme Partners. So we're going to select one of the sub teams instead. So this team has just 5 members here. We're going to head select. So now these are some more job role focused training plans designed to upskill from beginner to advanced. If you have a specific learning path in mind or a specific goal in mind, then you're going to want to go and create a custom training plan at the top right here. You could rename that training plan. For this example, I'm just going to stick with the AWS Solutions Architects. And then we add a new step. So you're going to assign one of these learning paths in the form of a training plan. You could preview the learning path just by clicking on the name. It's going to open up in a new window. I recommend doing this, especially because you want to make sure that the team is being assigned the right plan. So you could take a look at the overview, the intended audience, some of the learning objectives, as well as the domains that we're going to be focused on, and then the learning path steps. So our learning path steps follow a learn, do, validate model, where your team is first going to learn by watching a course. Then we're going to ask them to do something where the next step would be a hands-on lab, and then we're going to validate. So we'll have knowledge checks built into these learning paths, and all the way at the end, you'll actually have a practice exam here for the team. So if you're looking to get your team certified, my recommendation is really take advantage of those labs, really take advantage of those practice exams. As some of you may know, that those exams are really comprehension based. So you want your team to see as many use cases as possible. So you make sure that team is taking that practice exam a minimum of 2 times, even if they pass the first time, because we have about 1,000 questions to pull from. Every time they take the exam, they're going to see new questions and seeing a new use case each time. Okay, great. So let's go back. If this is the learning path we want to assign the team, we're just going to go ahead and click the checkbox. Now, my recommendation is usually 1 learning path per training plan. You can stack these up if you'd like. However, if the training plan is more than 10 hours, just stick to 1 learning path for now. This way you're not overwhelming your team right away. But if you have a team that's been in the platform for a little while now, just go ahead and feel free to add a 50-hour or 60-hour training plan, because they get it by now. But when your team is first starting out, let's just stick to 1 learning path per training plan. So we have the AWS Solutions Architect. If you wanted to assign the exam a second time, you could just go ahead and select the exam here. So remember, we have the exam built into the learning path. To make sure the team takes it a second time, we're going to go ahead and select the exam a second time. All right, so we could move these around if we selected them out of order. We'll click Save and Continue, and now this is where we select our weekly commitment. So the average time is 2.5 hours, but if you move this toggle to the left, you could decrease the time. If you move it to the right, you can increase the time. If you have a specific date in mind, you could go ahead and just click on this pencil here, enter the date, and then that weekly commitment is automatically going to adjust for you. If you'd like to add a training objective, just reminding your team why this is important, why this is being assigned to them, you could add that there. Then we click Review and Confirm. If you also like to assign this training plan to your team managers, you could just make sure you click on this check under Advanced Settings, but then we go ahead, confirm and assign. So everything we do in the platform is always going to bring us back to that team screen. So you have your team's training plan here. You have the team managers, and then again the team members that are going to be assigned that training plan. So let's just take a look at our training plan, just get a more of a breakdown of exactly what the training plan has to offer. So we'll go with our security engineer Azure starter training plan. We could see the members that are assigned this training plan, the progress percentage, the average scores. If we want to edit the due date, we just click on this pencil and change the due date here, as well as that team skill growth rate. So you have the user's progress percentage, their average scores, their last activity, how well that each user is tracking. If you see a user that's behind in the platform, behind on their training plan, now the platform is going to automatically nudge them up to 3 times per training plan. But if you'd like to go ahead and just get that nudge started sooner, you could just go ahead and click nudge here. This will send them an email directly out in the platform, just asking, is there anything to do that, anything we could do to help you get back on track. You could view the contents of this training plan, so each of the learning paths that's assigned to that team. You could view all the skills that we're assessing for. And then we have some additional settings here. So you could edit the notifications going out. You could clone this training plan, assign it to a new member or a new team. You could disable those automatic nudges, change your due date here as well, edit your training objectives, force the training plan to expire, archive, or delete the training plan. All right, great. So now that the team has been assigned a training plan, they're going to complete a ton of learning activities, labs, courses, exams, and us as the admin, we're going to want to get all that intelligence fed to us. So we're going to give that to you in your analytics reports and your skill profiles. So first, with analytics and reports, the analytics screen displays how much time your members, your teams, or the entire organization is spending on learning activities. Admins, team managers, stakeholders, operators can view the analytics and report screen. Now, essentially, you're going to look at the analytics screen as a time spent leaderboard. We're going to be able to break down all the learning activity usage by whether that's a course, quiz, exam, or lab. If your goal is to get your team certified or just to see where your team skill level is at, you could view their exam scores and with confidence be able to make that recommendation for one of them to sit down for a certification exam. And then we have reports. Now, essentially, it's going to be all the same information that's in the analytics screen, just in a CSV or an Excel file. You can join this with other data sources. You could also pull training plan consumption reports and add this to your employees' progress report, or however you guys are measuring success in your organization. So we'll just go down to intelligence, and first we'll click on reports. So again, this is going to be your time spent leaderboard, measuring the level of effort your users are putting into the platform. At the top here, you could filter by team. So you could just view an individual team's activity or an individual member. We have the overall time spent, activities started, activities completed, as well as unique users that signed into the platform. Now this defaults to 30 days, but you could put in a custom time frame if you'd like. And you could also compare teams. So if you want to compare your Acme team to your test team, and in terms of utilization, you could do that here. To the left here, you get the breakdown of learning activities. And below, you have your leaderboard. So you can see who put the most time into the platform. Now, when it comes to learning activities, what I would really focus in on is the exams, hands-on labs, and the learning paths. Now, if you're looking to get your team certified, you could take a look at one of the certification prep exams, see the total time spent on the exam, how many times they started it, completed it, how many times they passed the exam, and then what their last score was. So we can look at Hilda here and say, hey, Hilda, looks like you're doing a great job. You passed your exam 3 times. Your last score was 100. I think you should sit down and take that certification exam. Another one is the hands-on labs. Now, this is important because you want to make sure that your team is getting that actual practitioner experience It's one thing to just to watch the courses, but it's another thing to actually just to do the labs and pick up that experience. For any of the organizations using Cloud Academy as a project resource, hands-on labs is really what you want to focus in on. We also offer student sandbox accounts to your team. This way they could sign directly into the AWS environment, Azure environment, or GCP environment. Nothing's tied to your company or their personal information, and they could go through the lab steps there. And then last would be the learning path. So this is again going to be a specific area you're looking to upskill your team in. So you just want to see which learning paths your team are sticking to the most. In reports, you could generate your CSV, your Excel. You could look at each individual member usage and then choose your custom time frame here, and then generate that in a CSV or Excel. All right, now let's talk about skill profiles. Now, I know that I've been talking this up a lot since the beginning. This is actually one of my favorite Cloud Academy tools because it gives you, as the administrator, an understanding of who your true practitioners are, your users' level of mastery for the skills in which they demonstrated their competence, meaning that your users actually completed activities that we could validate and quantify in the platform. So everyone gets a skill score once they complete a learning activity that ranges between 0 and 1,000. Now, 0 to 333 is a beginner. Above that to 666 is intermediate level user. Above that to 1,000 is your advanced level user. Now, this score it helps measure their theoretical and practical understanding of the skills. And these users could view their own skill profiles. We also have a skill profile leaderboard that everyone can see. This could be disabled if you'd like, but it helps with some friendly competition amongst your peers. And then this competency level chart to the right here will show you how your team skills are distributed by platform, by service. And it's really important that 100% of your users are assessed. This way, you get the most accurate reading possible. The skill growth rate chart below, you'll see how your team's skills improve as tasks are completed in the platform. So these tasks are, again, quizzes, labs, exams. They won't be able to grow their skill growth rate just by watching courses. They actually have to go into the platform and complete a task. Depending on the level of difficulty of that task, whether or not they got it correct or not, is ultimately what you're going to see how much your skills has grown over time. So let's go ahead and take a look at skill profiles. Again, we have that overall skill profile. Now, this is averaging from all three platforms, AWS, Azure, GCP, and everybody in the platform. And right now we're at 302. So if we hover above top platforms, we'll get a skill profile score for each platform. If we hover above competency levels, for the AWS example, we could see that 28% of the group is intermediate, 3% of the group is a beginner, and 69% of this team has not been assessed yet. If you scroll down, you'll get your team's skill growth rate. So we measured this from that initial assessment. We got a baseline understanding of where the team was currently at. And then over time, we're able to show you how much your team skills have grown. Ultimately, you should look at this chart as essentially your return on investment with the product. Now below, you have the top users in the organization. This is in order by skill profile score. But now this is really cool. So if we click on this arrow, we're going to get a breakdown and a skill profile score for each platform and each service that they offer. Now, if you're using this tool as a project resource, this is going to be really valuable to you. So if we look at AWS, for example, we know that our team, their group score is at 421. Now, that's a really strong group score, just considering that's everyone in the platform amongst all services that we're looking at. If we scroll down, we'll be able to see, okay, Grace here, she's our top user in AWS. However, let's say we have a specific project in DevOps, for example. we could see all the services for AWS DevOps. We could see our group's AWS DevOps score, the skill growth rate on for that domain, and then below we know that we have Bernard. He has a score of 569. We could trust Bernard to head up this DevOps project. Maybe even have some of our newer employees shadow Bernard on that project. So I'm a real big fan of this tool just because it not only shows your return on investment with the product, which I think is really important for every organization to illustrate. But if you're using this tool as a project resource, you'll be able to pick the right people for the right projects when they come up. All right, so we'll talk a little bit about some of the extra settings and integration. So this helps you just extend your experience with Cloud Academy. You can add your company logo, so we'll just go right to it. If we go to settings here, you could add your company logo, edit the company name, add the website. You can edit that invitation message that goes out to your users. We do support SSO, whether it's Azure AD or Okta. And if you need to view that documentation, you could just do so here. If you're still having trouble setting up SSO, reach out to your CSM or our support team. We'd be more than happy to help you. If you're using your own internal learning management system, you can generate your API keys here. You'll have access to the training library. You can assign training plans directly from your LMS. You could view the analytics, pull reports. There's a lot of capabilities there. And if you need to manage your subscription or your licenses, you could do so here. If you need to add more licenses, if you're a self-serve customer, you feel free to just click on add licenses and adjust your licenses. However, if not, you could reach out to your CSM. You could email us directly or just email us directly from the platform itself. Okay, great. So I'm just going to pause here and wait for some questions to come in. Okay, great. So thank you all so much for joining. If you have any questions at all, feel free to reach me directly, brandon.henry@cloudacademy.com. Be more than happy to have a conversation with you. We could set up a 15-minute, 30-minute phone call if you like. Please don't forget to answer the end of webinar survey. That's really helpful for us. Your feedback is super important. And yeah, don't forget to join these in the future. If you ever see one of our platform demos, we're constantly uploading new features to the platform, new product enhancements. We'll love the chance to share that with you guys. So stay tuned for more to come. And if you'd like a copy of this deck, we have some additional resources here. So, what are assessment cycles, training plans? You could look a little bit more into skill profiles if you'd like, or help setting up a single sign-on. Again, my name is Brandon Henry, Enterprise Customer Success Manager. It's a pleasure being able to demonstrate the platform to you all. Have a great day, and yes, feel free to reach out if you need anything. Bye now.